Live tonight from the Dover International Speedway, the Joe Gibbs Racing Off-Season Action Series returns for the 6th race on this virtual esports NASCAR season on the iRacing.com simulator as we go racing for 100 laps tonight in the playoff top 8 by Sim 500. Happy to have you with us tonight with RaceSpotTV on the Joe Gibbs Racing Facebook page. Myself, Randy Chineth, and Cisco Scaramuza on the call. Cisco, 7 days ago, this championship went to Bristol Motor Speedway, and we saw that number 74 machine of Michael Guest put in a completely dominating performance at that tight little racetrack. But tonight we come to the Monster Mile, and that number 74, quick in practice, didn't quite get his first quality lap right, though he's going to have one more opportunity. But I think Michael Guest could be another dominating performance tonight.
Absolutely. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Dover International Speedway for another round of the Joe Gibbs off-season racing series. And yeah, this is going to be another very tight racetrack, similar to Bristol, but different in several crucial factors, just down to how this track's makeup is. Of course, one of the things to note here always is that banking goes all the way around the track. Of course, this track known very much so as a self-cleaning racetrack, so one thing to pay attention to a lot as we get set to finish up qualifying here. About 8 minutes left to go.
So that 74 machine, he's going to come through onto the front straightaway. Let's see what he can do. He does a 23.652, and that's good by a full 10th of a second to put him on that pole position right now. But all drivers still have about 8 minutes to run some qualifying times, and only about half our field has actually put in a qualifying time just yet. So we're going to be nice and patient with that one. This race here, is the round of 8 in terms of the chase they're doing tonight. We have 8 drivers who are currently scored in. Those 8 are Travis Sullenberger, Austin Green, Brian Boris Cook, Jose Gonzalez, Michael Guest, Rhett McBride, Steve Gottschalk, and Tony Mongi. And Cisco, after tonight, we will be cutting it down to 4 drivers who are going to be duking it out for the bragging rights in this one once we go to Homestead.
Yeah, and it puts a lot of pressure on these drivers to have to perform at Dover. This is a track that is very much a rhythmic track. If you kind of fall out of your rhythm and get kind of spooked, this track will easily, well, I guess they'll say miles will take the bite out of you, and you'll wind up on pit road. So these drivers have to be inch perfect all race long, 100 laps, and they may just survive the cut line tonight.
Number 43 of Austin Green, he's out there. He's just starting now his first qualifying lap. Let's watch him as we're going to be having our solo race in the Xfinity Camrys into this one tonight. All the other races being either in the Tundras or, of course, in the Cup cars. And Austin Green, he's not very happy with that split down in the corner number 3 down the back straightaway. So seems like he's going to call it quits on lap number 1. That's going to give him only one more opportunity to run a qualifying time. Don't see too many other cars out there on the racing surface right now. Travis Sullenberger's out there running laps, but he's already run all of his allotted laps as well as pretty much everyone else. It's really just right now, Cisco, watching this number 43 machine, considering he's one of our championship contenders, seeing whether or not he can put in a good time and start himself up near the front.
And of course, if you're looking at Austin Green, you're going, does he have any relation? Yes, he does. The son of former NASCAR Busch Series star David Green, and Austin ran some development races for Lee Falk last year, and was the 2017 Summer Shootout Pro Division runner-up. So a lot of talent behind the wheel of that car, but still fairly young driver, but looking to show his chops here as he comes off turn number 2.
It wasn't a great run through turn 2. Got a little bit of oversteer. He may have clipped the apron, but through 3 and 4, he's got to make this stick, as it's his only opportunity. Off towards the front straightaway comes that number 43, and he comes across the stripe. Let's see what that's going to do. It's going to be 23.9, so not what he would have been looking for. Puts him 8th out there on the racetrack, around the likes of a lot of his championship contenders. He's sandwiched, in fact, by championship contenders. You got Tony Mongi, Travis Sullenberger in front, and Brian Boris Cook and Jose Gonzalez in back. But it's still a decent qualifying time for him, but I think he dropped at least a 10th out there, Cisco, on that little wobble on the exit of 2.
And Dover's not going to be it's not going to be a track you're going to want to have to come through the pack on. It's so hard to pass here, and you almost have to force the guy you're racing into a mistake if you hope to make that pass, as we're looking at Travis Sullenberger come out of turn number 4 right now, across the line. Doesn't look like he's going to pick up any time, so we'll sit 7th right now on the qualifying board, but this is not a track you want to qualify in the back of. It's very hard to make your way through that field, and if you're some of these drivers towards the rear of the field, Alan, Jose, Brian Boris, Austin Green, all those drivers are going to have a long night ahead of them.
It's an exhibition in patience. It certainly is if you start at the back or at this place at Dover, as Cisco said. It's banked all the way around this place, and that's one of the notable things about this racetrack of Dover International Speedway. If you get any incidents, those accidents tend to always flow down to the bottom of the racetrack, and that often makes things pretty difficult for drivers in order to avoid, because a lot of people, Cisco, they sort of get in a habit, because most of the racetracks, at least on the NASCAR style stuff I've ever done, wrecks tend to go up the racetrack. So a lot of people have the muscle memory of get down to the bottom, especially if you're on those straightaways. You can't have that sort of muscle memory here, and you need to be a little bit more reactive and a little bit more preemptive with your avoidance, knowing those cars are going to go low.
And also, the other thing that doesn't help wreck avoidance on this track is, of course, everybody apexes out to the wall coming off of the corners here, and that completely throws you off. There's really, you can diamond the corners here. This is probably one of the best tracks you're able to do that, but the problem is everybody's doing it, and it creates a very small area of track space that you're going to want to use coming off the corner. Otherwise, your car will get unsettled, and you could end up spinning towards the infield wall and bringing out the caution flag, so you have to be very careful on that as well.
Number 22 machine of Casey Duncan, he's out there running qualifying times. Lap number 1, not nearly on the pace, I think, for him. He does a 24.5, almost a full second off our pole sitter of Michael Guest, who's going to come across front straightaway, though, and he's going to improve slightly to a 4.93, but not actually going to improve his starting position, so not what Casey Duncan would have wanted here. We do have another driver rolling out onto the racing surface. That's going to be that number 82 of Chad Cole, as he's running through 1 and 2 right now, exiting pit road. And you mentioned that fact, Cisco, the fact that it's so difficult to make up spots here, especially over a 100-lap race tonight. It's not like the full-distance races that you might be used to seeing in the likes of the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series. You have very, very limited time here tonight to make up any spots, and really going to be very, very limited in terms of strategy, because I don't think we're going to get a lot of green flag running tonight, just with the sort of racing that Dover tends to produce.
Yeah, and that could potentially throw strategy out the window, but it's still, with those caution flags, you can afford to gamble, but old tires, not a very good thing to take here at Dover, because those tires take so much punishment over the course of a run. It's going to be a long day if you stay out on old tires and it does not work out for you. You get a green flag run, you're basically it's going to be like you have a parachute off the back of your car. It's not going to end well.
About 100 seconds left in qualifying. The 82 of Chad Cole tagged the outside wall entering turn 3, so he had to abandon that lap, and it's going to be pretty much, I think, the third or fourth, maybe fifth driver we've seen only get one more attempt at a qualifying time here in this one, and time is quickly ticking away for him, so he's got to get out there on the racetrack quickly and start logging laps if he wants to get a qualifying time done. He was quick in practice, did a 23.896. That'd be good enough to put him around the top 5 if he managed to put that in, but I don't see him getting back into that number 82 machine as we're approaching the final minute of qualifying, so we might already have all our qualifiers sorted. And I think right now, Cisco, if you're Doug Sigmund, Don Roberts, Chad Cole, Joey Gattina, Brian Wortman, Patrick Colby, Michael Priester, those drivers who are opting to start from the back without a qualifying time, some brave souls, I'll tell you.
It seems like a great idea because you're not in the middle of the pack where something could break out, but the problem is you're going to have to be very awake on that brake pedal to slow down and get around any of these incidents, so it could potentially backfire for a couple of these drivers. We'll just have to see when we get underway here whether it works or not, but 100 laps getting ready to get set on the docket as we count down less than 30 seconds to your RaceSpotTV starting grid.
We have a quick look, though, at our championship standings, and it's been a pretty entertaining one thus far in this one, as Michael Guest leads the way over Tony Mangi, Austin Green, Brian Boris Cook, Jason K. Miller. They round out the top 5, but still that championship very, very tight between those top handful of drivers, just under 20 points, 19 points separating the top 5, so those guys very, very competitive, and like we said, we're cutting it down to 4 drivers before that race at Homestead. But as the clock ticks over to 0, that means qualifying is officially scored complete, and we're going to go down your starting grid here for 100 miles around Dover International Speedway. Michael Guest is on pole, starting on the inside of row number 1. Jason Jacoby, good effort for him. He'll start on the outside of that front row. row 2. Steven Gottschalk and Rhett McBride is going to be on that second row with EJ O'Rourke and Tony Manji on row number 3. Travis Solenberger and Austin Green, they're going to roll off on row 4. We saw those two have a fantastic fight at both Bristol as well as at Circuit of the Americas. Brian Boris Cook and Jose Gonzalez, they're going to round out your top 10. Alan Alphonse and Jason K. Miller, they're going to roll off on row 6 with Jonathan Lockhart and Casey Duncan on row 7. Don Runkle Jr. with Chad Cole, they're going to roll off row 8 with Don Roberts and Michael Priester on row number 9. Doug Sigmund and Joey Gattina, they're going to make up row number 10. And then of this 22-car field, Patrick Colby and Brian Wortman, they are going to round it out tonight. So 22 cars, 100 laps around this Dover International Speedway. Well, Cisco, we might be a little bit used to seeing 30 to 40 car fields around this monster mile, but 22 cars is still a very, very tightly packed racetrack around this place.
Very much so, and two drivers I'm going to keep an eye on tonight. Going to be Tony Manji, that 92, a lot of short track experience on the sim. Keep an eye on that 92. And of course, Austin Green, the driver who just finished up a stint driving some late models for on the real life side of things. So I'm looking for those two drivers going to be coming through the field here tonight here, Randy.
As we're waiting for that iRacing roof safety car to roll them off, those are his couple picks. I think the number 74 machine is going to be pretty dominant tonight. Full 10th of a second advantage over the rest of the field in qualifying. And of course, Michael Guest, he was so strong at Bristol last week. This racetrack, he's sort of a supersized version of Bristol, is really the best way to think about it. So I think he's going to have one heck of a night tonight and should be able, as long as he can survive, get himself into this championship floor. But cars should be getting themselves rolling off here in just a moment. We see that 74 getting a little antsy, and there they go. 22 machines, top 11 rows of cars, all cycling themselves through 1 and 2. And Cisco, there's one question I have to ask you. How long until the first incident? Because I think we're going to get one early.
It's all going to depend on this start. If these guys have a little bit of a checkup, it could create an accordion effect and cause some chaos early on. Other than that, if these guys manage to make it clean, everybody gets off the start fairly well, I think we'll go green flag for a while. Let's just wait and find out, Randy.
As always, thank you for joining us here on the Joe Gibbs Racing Facebook page as we are pacing right now around this laser-scanned, millimeter-accurate version of the Dover International Speedway on the iRacing.com simulator. And while it might be really accurate under pacing, it's even better under green flag action as this iRacing roof safety car is about to duck down to the safety of pit road, and the number 74 Michael Guest will be leading the 21 other drivers into corner number 1, and he wastes no time as we are green at Dover International Speedway, and it's a monster jump from that 74 car of Michael Guest. We might be used to seeing reaction times like that in the NHRA, but Michael Guest, he Christmas treed the field, and he's got 10 car lengths on the exit of 2.
Michael Guest with the whole shot start as they come out of turn number 2. Meanwhile, everybody else going to single file down to the inside goes Austin Green. Going to try and make the move on the number 41 of EJ O'Rourke. He'll make the pass as they head through 3 and 4 this time. Single file through the rest of your field.
Patient racing up and down your field here. That's what you always want to see. I think me and Cisco are more than happy to be proven wrong in this one and get a lot of clean and green racing tonight as Michael Guest maintains his margin up off corner number 2 and down the back straightaway for the second time in towards 3 and 4. Everyone's still saying single file in this entirety 22-car field. I don't see any side-by-side racing, which is actually pretty unusual as they come back on to complete lap number 2. A little bit of a wiggle from a car in the background. That was Rhett McBride running in that 5th spot, that 78 machine, and that's one of the things, Cisco, that you can get around this Dover racetrack. The way you actually transition off the banking is so weird because of the fact that the front straightaway is still, the front and back straightaway are both slightly banked. That, in conjunction with the fact that this racing surface is concrete, means these cars are very loose off the corner.
Yeah, they are, and these drivers going to have to do a lot to keep them under control here. Down into turns number 1 and 2. I'm keeping an eye on that battle for second. Jason Jacoby has been all over the back bumper of the 91 as Steve Gottschalk. And Gottschalk going to have to play a little bit defensive, but Jacoby really can't lay off defense either because he's got Tony Manji right behind him as well. Off 3 and 4 once again. Jacoby a little bit sideways. He'll hold on to it.
Everyone's fighting just a little bit loose in this one as they roll off into 1 and 2. Once again, laps clicking off really quickly here. Already working lap number 5 and has only been green for about a minute. A little bit of side-by-side for third. That's between Jason Jacoby and Tony Manji. Manji's going to duck out of it, though. Doesn't quite get the momentum on the bottom side of the racetrack down that back straightaway. So it's going to be Manji holding on to that spot for now. Rick McBride, he's coming under a little of attack from Austin Green, the 43 car. We've seen him be aggressive a few times this season. He makes it side-by-side in towards corner number 1 and very close with the 78 of Rick McBride. But Austin Green, he's young and he has full confidence. He's now in the top 5. Now he wants to set his sights on that 92 of Tony Manji.
McBride did not want to let him go, but didn't really have much of a choice. Austin Green had to make that move and pick the perfect spot to do it. McBride had no choice but to let him go, or else both cars were going to end up in the safer barrier. So now Austin Green up to the top 5 already and trying to get a little bit more as that 3-car pack continues for second, third, and fourth. That's Steve Gottschalk continuing to lead them into turn number 3 once again. Has to play a little bit of defense on the mirror. Jacoby still on him.
E.J. O'Rourke in the background. He's dropping a couple spots to Travis Sullenberger and Brian Boris Cook as they're each going to go +1 as they come across the stripe here in towards 1 and 2. That Bitcoin machine following Travis Sullenberger closely. We've seen these two be locked together for the last handful of rounds. Really, I think the last 3 or 4 weeks in a row has all been about Cook and Sullenberger and how they're fighting on the racetrack. Michael Guest is out to a 1-second lead here at Dover. Most of that's come on the start, and we might have a big gap for now here, Cisco, but I don't think we're going to see. If we get another yellow and a restart, I don't think whoever's running in second is going to let Michael Guest do what he did on the start of this race, which is absolutely just leap away, because they're doing a good job of maintaining the gap. He's slowly stretching it by about half a tenth or so per lap, but he shouldn't have this much pressure eased off of him if people had been sleeping at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing to note, some of these drivers having a little bit of trouble now, all trying to keep their car on the inside, and that's the move I was looking for. Jason Jacoby down to the inside. Not sure if he's going to have the run. The car got a little bit bogged down on the inside. He'll get a little bit loose. Not quite. Gottschalk able to hold on there, but Gottschalk started moving up the track a little bit. Jacoby was trying the waters, and as was Manji behind him. So these drivers now starting to look, the longer they can keep that car on the bottom, Randy, the easier it's going to be to make and defend their positions.
It's definitely the situation, but it can also be difficult down there along the bottom to maintain that momentum. You watch everyone on the racetrack, they get to the bottom and then they creep up the racetrack about half a car width, and then they re-apex on the exit of 2 and 4 respectively. You see one driver though, that's Jason Jacoby. He's running a much tighter entrance to the corner right now than Steve Gottschalk, and if you're Steve, Cisco, you have to be really patient with that, as that means he can potentially throw an aggressive move at any point. Have to be constantly watching your mirrors. You see once again, he's got about a tire width, puts basically a fender down to the bottom of the racetrack before that 91 machine, and that's always going to keep you thinking if you're that car ahead.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder how long before Jason Jacoby starts to get a little bit fed up with Steve Gottschalk. I think the 90's a little bit faster, just hasn't had the opportunity. Could close in here off of 4. Not going to make the move, though, but closes up. He was half a foot away. Now no distance, as looks like Gottschalk actually had a good launch into 1 and 2 right now. Jacoby going to try and get the speed a little bit off the corner. Not going to happen, though. And Gottschalk, you can see the accordion effect starting to take place as Austin Green's caught up to the rear of this pack. Now 4 cars all trying to go after that second spot.
Gap between these vehicles is so tight that if you've measured it, you would actively change the result, because it's on atomic scales right now as Steve Gottschalk continues to lead this 4-car pack. Jason Jacoby is showing good patience, though. I think he's the quicker of him and Gottschalk, but he needs to maybe cue that patience a little bit shorter here, Cisco, because he's got both Tony Manji and Austin Green, who's done a fantastic job of reeling in these 3 to turn this into a 4-car train, chomping at the bit, wanting to get the move done. And if you spend all your time sleeping here between Gottschalk, eventually the likes of Manji, the likes of Austin Green, they're going to start making moves behind you, and suddenly when you've been just sitting there patient, maybe thinking of picking up a spot in the long run, you're just dropping spots.
Yeah, and that's not at all what you want to be doing, because we don't have a ton of time racing here as we're coming to complete lap number 15 at the start-finish line. You can't fall back early because you may not have enough time to get back up to the front. Manji, meanwhile, looks to the inside of Jason Jacoby there. Nothing there, and they'll continue to stay fairly even through second through fourth.
I think Austin Green might just about have a chance, but I think he just clipped the wall on the exit of 2, so that's going to really hurt his momentum as they run off through 3 and 4. But Tony Manji, the way Austin Green, sort of hooked the top side of the racetrack, I thought he may have been able to get a big run of momentum, because the top side, when cars are in front of you trying to make moves, top side of the racetrack, Cisco, can be a good opportunity to really get that thing wound up and spit yourself with a lot of speed onto these front and back straightaways. A lot of times that's how you have to set passes up here, just when those drivers in front of you get set checked up. Steve Gottschalk, though, he's coming under attack and is getting ready to get freight trained here as Jason Jacoby looks low on the exit of 4.
Yeah, down to the inside goes Jason Jacoby. That was the move he was waiting for. Now into turn number 1, he'll clear Steve Gottschalk. Gottschalk trying to get any sort of run on the outside, not going to happen. And the freight train has pulled away from the station. Gottschalk back to 5th. Nothing he could do there.
Unfortunate for Gottschalk is choo-choo. The train has left the stations, and because of this, Cisco, well, the 4-car train has turned into pretty much an 8-car train because there was a bit of a gap between this second little pack and then the third pack behind, but now the Gottschalk is sort of filling it. It's now one long train of cars from 2nd of Jason Jacoby all the way back to 9th of EJ O'Rourke. So all these drivers feeling the dirty air, very close to each other on the racetrack.
Still doing an excellent job, though. Austin Green starting to close in a little bit on Jason Jacoby, and Manji's just been kind of following him through here. Remember, Manji was all over the back bumper of Jacoby not that long ago. Gave up that position to Austin Green. Green now sitting on the podium and looking for more. Starting to close in on that 90, and Jacoby has to drive away from this group and maybe start working into that league because Michael Guest is absolutely out in another zip code, 2.7 ahead.
Saw the 24 hours of Daytona on the iRacing service this weekend. His third place car gets into the wall. Tony Manji, good job avoiding. That's Austin Green. They make secondary contact. Think that Austin Green in the 43 has a bit of suspension damage because he spent the entirety of the front straightaway here at Dover trying to get that thing back underneath him, and he made contact with the 92, and either he bent something else with the 92. They got caution flying on the racetrack, but that was good driving by Austin Green to keep that thing underneath him. It was the 17 car of Don Roberts, as well as Casey Duncan that ended up bringing this yellow out, and this is an incident coming off quarter number 4, and not really sure what. Well, Casey Duncan, he just got the sort of a weird little incident there, Cisco. He got a big wiggle coming. Well, I'll say it was a little wiggle, but it just sort of was a slide that just didn't really go away for him, and he spent the entirety almost of the front straightaway trying to get it underneath him until he eventually lost it.
You see it all the time on TV. You see drivers, when they exit turn number 4 here at Dover, they go all the way up against the wall. That's to help the car kind of de-wedge itself, get all the weight transfer correctly. That's not at all what happened with the 22. He apexed a little under where he needed to be. Car got loose, and for the driver of Don Roberts, just tried to stay off of him, looked to the inside, and next thing you know, both cars spun down to the inside. Caution flag flies early here at Dover, and plenty of racing still left to go, but unfortunate incident there for Casey Duncan.
Definitely a good run, though, for that opening little sprint. 21 laps, excuse me, is what we went in green flag action here, as your entire field is me coming down on towards pit lane to get 4 tires, fuel, and of course some repairs if they so choose. As 74 Michael Guest, he just needs to be picture perfect here. Don't want to make a mistake out here and throw yourself away a handful of positions. That's exactly what he does. He overshoots his box by a little bit, Cisco, and I think we're going to see this 74 Michael Guest lose this race lead as he's going to take 4 tires and fuel. Will he be safe? There's cars behind him that are already rolling. I think Michael's going to lose your race lead.
And Austin Green also able to grab that second spot away as Jacoby going to lead him off pit road. And a fantastic job done by both those drivers to get into their stall flawlessly. Your top 3 basically all moved up a position after that. And as for Michael Guest, going to be stuck back in the 4th position here and going to be at the mercy of 2nd place for when he can get on the loud pedal.
So for Michael Guest, it's been a phenomenal run up to this point, but that one little mistake has really cost him. I believe he'll be rolling off 4th out there on the racetrack. The 89 of Brian Wertman, he went around here, didn't actually come down pit lane. I think he missed. He actually may have came down pit lane and missed his box, but the 89 car, he's now coming down on towards pit road, so he's going to lose all sorts of track position. But that number 90 of Jason Jacoby, he's going to be more than happy with that result down pit road for Michael Guest.
Absolutely, and that'll give Jacoby control over the restart, and when he can restart this race, that's going to make life a whole lot easier for that number 90. But apart from that, the 43 has done an excellent job running through this field today already. Randy started 8th, currently 2nd right now. Depending on how this restart goes, could be going for even more as soon as the green flag drops.
waiting on everyone to just cycle themselves through. Still got a couple of laps here to be run under caution, then we'll be back to green flag racing. Right now, Don Roberts, the only car, well, him and Casey Duncan, the only two cars on pit road. Those are the two drivers that were involved in the big impact. I will say, talking about that 43 though, Cisco, yeah, he ran up from 8th to 2nd, but I don't think he would have gotten many repairs when he was on pit lane, and I think the way that he whacked that outside wall and then got into the 92 Amanji, I think that 43 might be a little bit more dinged up than he's going to think, because he really didn't get a lot of running to establish what the damage was like. He must seem relatively confident that it's not too beat up, but a little bit of aero damage at Dover, even this tight little 1 mile racetrack, a lot of high-speed corners here with all the banking we have, and I think that 43 might struggle a little bit with that dirty air.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that affects Austin. I mean, he didn't get a chance to see how the car was after the damage. We didn't really either. So either way, it's going to be a case where we'll just have to pull the cover off and see what it's like afterwards. But lights out on your Rough iRacing pace car. Jason Jacoby and Austin Green will lead the field to that green flag as we pace through 1 and 2 for the final time.
So they work through 1 and 2 in these laser scan and picture perfect iRacing Xfinity cars. If you're interested in getting involved in this, iRacing.com is the simulator we're using. Phenomenal service. You have all sorts of stuff, NASCAR content, rallycross, variety of short track stuff, World of Outlaws, there's late models, there's modifieds, there's sprint cars, anything to your heart's content, road or oval side of racing, dirt or asphalt. The sim has it, and it's a lot of fun, and it's been a big week of action, and they had a simulated 24-hour event through the weekend here on the iRacing service, but we are going to cap off the big weekend of racing with this Joe Gibbs series. Of course, when we go back to green flag racing, coming off corner number 4, that iRacing roof safety car getting ready to duck back down to the safety of pit road, and the number 90 of Jason Jacoby is in command of the field. 43 of Austin Green knows ahead, and he gets a much better jump this time than what we saw on that first start. Number 90 not nearly clear as they go into 1. They're going to be wheel to wheel, side by side through 1 and 2. Jason Jacoby working the bottom, Austin Green working the top. He's going to get a big run up there, and maybe a little bit of contact or lose for Austin Green though, as he's going to lose that spot almost immediately, challenging for the race lead. But that was quite the restart from Austin Green, and that's what you need to do in these races, Cisco, in order to harass that race leader on the restarts.
I think Green thought his car was perfect, but I think he got a little bit loose up there in the marbles, and a little bit of that damage affecting the 43, but still looking fairly fast on the line. So by no means is Green out of this, but I don't think that car is completely 100%, maybe just 95% it looks like right now, as he continues to trail our leader. And Tony Manji was able to hold off. Michael Guest has moved up and held on to that 3rd position. Guest back to 4th.
And we talked about the fact that if you're starting in the back of this field, didn't qualify well, it's going to be an exhibition of patience. Right now for that 74 car of Michael Guest, it's going to be an exhibition of patience for him. He was so much quicker than everyone else on that first 20 or so lap run, Cisco, that getting ducked back into 4th place behind drivers that you had gapped by about 2 seconds on the racetrack, it's going to take him quite a while to get back into that rhythm and really be able to pick off a couple spots here. He's going to have to be a lot more patient, maybe even change his marks here in traffic.
And for Green at this point, he's getting all sorts of a threat right now from Tony Manji. Manji actually got a little bit loose off the corner, but a lot of pressure right now at that 43, and Green's got to make sure he gets himself into that rhythm. He can't worry about Manji as much behind him. He's got to focus on tracking down the leader and hitting his marks if he hopes to catch up to Jacoby and challenge for that lead once again.
Jason Jacoby's doing a good job of this clean air to stretch out this gap. The dirty air, I think, not doing that 43 of Austin Green any favors right now with that damage on the right front. Tony Manji still lurking, tucked up right underneath the rear spoiler of that number 43 machine as they come through 3 and 4. The 92 gets a little bit of a run through the corner, but a little bit of a slide, I think, as well. So maybe not able to make the move, but Manji, I think Cisco has the speed over that 43, but can he make it stick? As the 74 is tucked up right on the 92 after that little slip up, and Manji's really wheeling that thing off the corners.
And the closer that these drivers get, the less room for error there is. You see Manji getting a little bit loose, and you see Michael Guest, he's barely a foot off the rear bumper of the 92. If Manji gets even a little bit more loose, something could go horrendously wrong. These drivers right now at the edge of control and doing a fantastic job battling right now. Manji still looking for more, and for Green, it's just a case of get away from these guys. I got to go catch the leader.
Austin's going to be pushing as hard as he can, but if you're Tony Manji, you need to try to make the move on that 43 car as he gets a good run off corner number 4. 92 machine going to have an opportunity. 74 Michael Guest had to check out of it just a little bit. Manji not going to be able to get there. 43 of Austin Green. Good confidence from him to take that line away, and now Michael Guest going to try to slingshot his way around the outside. Look at the run from the 74 car up top. He moves himself into the 3rd spot, and Tony Manji, he's going to be looking at that windshield, wondering how in the world he doesn't end up +1, but ends up down a spot, as now the 74 is setting up the 43 of Austin Green into 1 and 2. Michael Guest putting on a clinic down on the inside of the racetrack, down through the center of the corner, but no, Austin Green, he's going to work the momentum up top. He'll hold on to 2nd for now.
That bottom line is so potent at Dover, but the problem is if you get bogged down in the corner, you're not going to have enough speed to pass that car in front. For that driver on the outside, if he can hook it up just right, is a little bit of a tap to Guest there from Manji. I don't think Manji is terribly excited about losing that position right now. Guest trying to close in, and I think for Manji it was a case of what went wrong, and Guest perfectly executed to the outside. 43 got a little bit bogged down, I think, and that's all it took. Goodbye, Michael Guest.
So Tony Manji giving Michael Guest a little bit of a shot, maybe frustrated because he lost that position, and Michael said, all right, bud, I'll get out of your way. Just let me open up a couple car links here and take this 2nd spot over Austin Green. Austin falls back down to the 4th spot as Manji's going to slot himself into 3rd. Jason Jacoby not been able to break away here, and Michael Guest is the quickest car out there on the racetrack right now. Is the only car down in the 7s last mile around this racetrack as they work through 3 and 4. I think that 74 machine Cisco is going to be a man on a mission, really in that 10 car length to the 90 out in front.
We saw how much speed he had at Dover, and the time already coming down. It went from 0.610 to 0.587. So Guest trying to close in on Jacoby at this point, and Jason trying to save everything he has. The more tires he saves now, Randy, the easier it's going to be to defend that position, but you can visually see the gap start to close. Guest is there.
That he definitely is. Talking about the tire wear, it's always going to be big at a racetrack here like Dover. The fastest lap these guys had in their last long green flag run, that first long green flag run, about a 23.9 for Jason Jacoby. Towards the end of that stint, he had dropped off down into the mid-25s, so we're talking close to 2 seconds of drop-off just in 20 laps of racing. So taking care of the tires is always superbly important. As the 90 machine gets a little bit of a wiggle, that's your race leader, Jason Jacoby, and the 74 still doing everything he can to reel him in. He's not reeling him in a one big chunk, Cisco, but it's about half a tenth or so every single time around this racetrack, and I think that's wise by the 74, not pushing himself too hard to burn his stuff up, just slowly reel that 90 in. He's going to see the fact that that gap's coming down, potentially even force that 90 machine of Jacoby into mistakes.
Battles won in inches, and in this case, hundredths of a second, and it's down to 0.530 last time at the line, so Michael Guest is closing, and Jacoby cannot afford to make those mistakes. We saw him get a little bit loose off the corner. He cannot be doing that. The longer you spend sideways and heating up those tires, the less defense you're going to be able to play against Michael Guest, and you can see how much speed Guest has on just how far of a gap he's pulled on Tony Manji, and Manji still having to deal with Austin Green, but those two just onlookers at this point as the battle for the lead continuing to close.
Another fight we have on the racetrack that's forming is Steve Gottschalk, and he's dealing with about a half dozen or so other drivers, such as Jason Miller and Brian Boris Cook. He's going to have for company, I think, in a moment. The 63 looks to the bottom of Jason Miller through 3 and 4. The 23 works the top, though, and he angles that corner off beautifully to get a big head of steam down this front straightaway. But Boris looks strong down through the inside of the racetrack in towards 1 and 2 once again. And Brian Boris Cook wants that, picked up that spot over Jason Miller through now on towards the back straightaway. And that Bitcoin machine has a nose as they're 2 by 2 as they're forming up behind as well. That's Travis Solenberger as well as EJ O'Rourke, as Boris is still working the bottom of the racetrack, and he's now going to pick it up. Now Solenberger, he's going to be, I think, a victim of the Dover freight train. And down low, Travis Solenberger, he wants to be +1 as well.
But he won't go down without a fight. Solenberger to the bottom of the track, going to make things happen, and Jason Miller just has to drop in behind him. A little bit of a tap there from EJ O'Rourke. Not terribly happy about getting his line cut off, and Jason Miller going to go up the track. That's the space that EJ needed down to the inside. The 41 machine not going to be able to hold on to it, though, out of the corner, and it'll be a drag race to turn number 1. EJ O'Rourke on the bottom side tries not to get bogged down. Side by side they continue off the corner position. EJ O'Rourke.
cars aren't chained together and they're not running a figure eight, but I think Jason Miller would think this is a train race. The way he just lost position, and Boris Cook has done a good job, by the way, of stretching out a gap after picking up that spot. Checking back in with the fight for your race lead. Well, it's been a good job, a good handful of laps here for Michael Guest as he's reeled in that lead battle to down within half of a second, under 0.4 of a second, in fact. And I think Jason Jacoby is going to be seeing that number 74 getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think somewhere around the halfway point of this race, we might be having a new race leader.
Yeah, I think Michael Guest has to start playing the slow, impending opera music off the car stereo because he's closing in, and Jacoby's doing everything he can to try and run away, and he just keeps closing. Michael Guest looking for that lead, lurking in the background, trying to make it happen.
So through 3 and 4, that 74 car absolutely perfect last week at Bristol, and he's doing a good job tonight again here at Dover. Had that little mistake on pit road that gave up the race lead, but he made quick work of those handful of drivers that are now behind him, and he's doing a good job to just look here on Jason Jacoby as the gap is down under 0.3 of a second. He almost reeled in a full 10th that last time through out there on the racetrack. In towards 3 and 4 once again for Michael Guest and Jason Jacoby. And they see him again swinging just a little bit up the racetrack and then apexing late. But it seems to me, Cisco, that 74 seems a little bit more confident getting to the bottom, both on the entry to the corner and then on the exit. It seems like the 90 doesn't quite have the confidence to get all the way up against the apron. He leaves about a quarter of a car width or so down there. With a 74, he straight lines it just a little bit more, and I think that's where the speed differential is.
Yeah, Jason's can't be afraid of that wall, and well, he has to run perfect now because knock knock, get the door. It's Michael Guest, and he's looking for more as they head for turn number 1. Guest all in the rear view mirror of Jason Jacoby, back into turns 1 and 2. Jacoby runs to the bottom side, little bit of defensive move, not gonna happen though. Guest rolls the corner and gets a ton of speed. He'll look to the inside.
74 machine is opened up for business here down low on the inside as Jason Jacoby going to try to work the momentum up top. We have seen that it can be difficult to make a pass when you're pinched down to the bottom, but that 74 has been the dominant car all night. Jacoby does a good job, though, to maintain the race lead at the stripe through 1 and 2. He goes all the way up to the middle groove of the racetrack. Not really seen a lot of people run there tonight, and the 74 still not quite getting the momentum to pick up that spot, and Michael Guest is going to fall back in the line. That's the first person, Cisco, we've seen really be able to successfully defend that number 74, Michael Guest.
I think Guest tried for a little too much, a little bit too ambitious out of the 74, sent it to the inside, but the car was not set at all. And Guest, I think his key to this, Randy, he's going to have to make the pass like he did on Tony Mangi. I think the outside is where you look for the 74. 90 gets very loose off of turn number 2. He can't blink, though, because Guest now looking to the outside. This time, Jacoby might float up the track. Watch out for exit.
This is the worst thing you can do here at Dover. The only thing worse than giving up the bottom is giving up the top, especially in a car that's quicker than you. Through 1 and 2 once again, and Michael Guest not going to be able to make anything of it this time through. So well done by these drivers. They work down the back straightaway. Michael Guest, a big head of steam. He's going to look to the bottom through 3 and 4. The door is open once again, and can Jason Jacoby defend with the middle of the racetrack once again? Michael trying to get the traction off the corner. He knows it's ahead. He's going to lead this lap at the stripe, but he's definitely not going to be anywhere near clear through 1 and 2. Still working the top side of the racetrack is that 90 of Jason Jacoby's. He noses back into the race lead through the center of 1 and 2 and millimeters between them. 74 gets loose, and Jacoby once again reigns supreme.
An unrelenting defense by Jason Jacoby holding off Michael Guest as they come out of turn number 4 once again. We're past halfway already. Michael Guest has to make the move, and he has to make the move soon, but where will he do it? Back into turn number 1 this time. Jacoby way up the track, though. Guest can roll to center once again. Look at the speed off the corner. It's about 5 miles an hour. And Guest now right back on the back bumper. Caution flies.
Caution out there on the speedway is going to bail out Jason Jacoby. Not sure which car. Oh, there's a handful of cars that brought out this one. Jonathan Lockhart, I think we have the 00 machine as well involved. That was Don Runkle Jr., including Brian Wortman, I believe, out there on the racetrack. So 3 cars get caught up in this one. I think the 89 machine, he just tagged the wall on the front straightaway, pretty much lost that car all by himself. And I think a couple drivers, Cisco, just really nowhere to go out there on the racetrack. 89 really didn't hold the brakes that well. Because of that, I think Don Runkle Jr., sort of an innocent victim, got caught up in that.
Yeah, and Wortman, once again, a very similar incident, except kind of the opposite. Randy, instead of apexing a little too low, he apexed a little bit too high and caught the wall, and that's all it took for the 89 inside wall. And Runkle, I think, went to the inside hoping to miss him, and just, bam, direct contact. And as for the 6 for Jonathan Lockhart, it's just nowhere to go for the driver of the 6. And track just got blocked in front of him. Nothing you can do. And 3 cars, just like that, send it to the scrap heap.
That's one of the big mistakes you can make here on the iRacing service, or any racing sim for that matter. If when you go around, one of the big things you need to do is hold those brakes, because the worst thing for a driver that's coming up on a spun car is to have that car not stop moving and be unpredictable. But that's going to be our second caution of the night, as the entire field is going to come back down once again for 4 tires and fuel. And this time the 74 machine, we saw him make a mistake early last time Cisco on pit road. He was picture perfect this time, and unfortunately for him, Jacoby was awesome as well.
Yeah, we'll have to see. That first pit spot, though, could benefit Guest. No, it won't. And Jacoby going to win the battle off pit road. Tony Manji third, and Michael Guest rolls off second once again. I saw Steve Gottschalk run into a little bit of issue. He's going to drop a couple spots and find himself way back in the back of this initial field here. And don't count out Rhett McBride, who's rallied his way back to 4th, and he's kind of lurking in the background as well. But the battle all day, at least this last run, has been Michael Guest and Jason Jacoby. And for Jacoby, he's got to have another fantastic restart, and he can't even worry about what the guy on the outside is going to have to do. He has to set up that first corner perfectly, be able to hold on. And really, for Michael Guest, you have to guess perfectly.
Keep in mind, though, Michael Guest, he started this race beautifully when we got the initial green flag, and pretty much gave himself a 10-car length advantage over the rest of the field. So I think that 74, I think there's anyone, Cisco, that might be able to really fight with him. I think it might be the 74 machine. But that said, when Austin Green rolled off from that second spot, it's one of a unique skill on the iRacing service to have. And I think a lot of people through a lot of the various leagues are very patient. Whenever I see the real-life drivers who are starting on the outside of that front row, and I've seen it a half dozen times from the different types of racing we have on the sim, be it NASCAR-style stuff, be it IndyCar-style stuff, more often than not, the real-world drivers are much more aggressive how they take that restart on that top row. And Austin Green did an absolutely beautiful job not letting Jacoby getting into turn 1 and 2 unharassed, and he almost took that race lead on the top side. 74 Michael Guest needs to do the same thing, and I think if he can do it, I think he'll have that race lead off too.
And if you're wondering where Austin Green went, he's back in the 6th position, and that car doesn't look very happy after the contact with the wall. We look at Tony Manji, that was just car-to-car contact. That car's not too bad. Hasn't had the speed the top 2 have had, though. So for Austin Green, it's a case where I think that car is more damaged than we thought. And hopefully got some more of that repaired here, Randy. Might try a sprint at the leaders once again here once we take the green flag.
The lights should be going out this time. Let's see if they are indeed, and yes, they will. So we're working lap number 58 right now of 100, so we're going to have 42 laps to go when we get back to the start-finish line. Think that 74 machine, Cisco, is going to get the start he needs?
He's going to have to, I think, Randy. Otherwise, it might be a counterattack later on, but it would make his life a whole lot easier if he can get this done from the very beginning.
So through the center of 1 and 2, they will run, and that 74 machine is going to be thinking to himself, when is that 90 of Jacoby's going to go? When do I need to go? What is he going to do? How is he going to play this when they go back to green flag racing? That iRacing roof safety car getting ready to duck back down low and maybe get back to that food stand to get some good stuff instead of having to be out there pacing these cars around. I don't want to see that pace car driver work too hard today. I think he's already done a little bit too many hours. It's time to get him off the time card. But it's going to be all up to the 90 of Jason Jacoby on how much of a margin he gets and how well the 74 responds. He's going to hold it a little bit later than what we've seen on these couple restarts, and then he suddenly goes green flag back out here at Dover. It's not a great start from Jacoby. I think he may have missed a gear because that 74 gets a big head of steam about midway down that front straightaway. The 74 of Michael Guest, he's going to pull to the outside of the racetrack through 1 and 2. He's going to work the momentum up top. He's going to take the race lead. Tony Manji up top as well, harassing Jason Jacoby. He wants that second spot, as I think Jacoby, Cisco, I think he missed a gear indeed, because I've never seen someone lose momentum like that as they roll off through 1.
Yeah, Jacoby had the whole shot, absolutely, but I believe it was a missed gear or just a late gear change, and it's going to pay for Jacoby right now. He's going to be in big trouble. Back to third already as Michael Guest out to where he started this race, and that's big-time bad news. Tony Manji right now, the driver in control who has to track down Michael Guest, who has been so fast today. Will it even be possible as Tap to the rear end of Tony Manji from Jason Jacoby. Jacoby not happy. He wants that second place back because he wants that lead back.
Well, Guest is gone. He says bye-bye. No one's going to be paying me a visit anytime soon as Jason Jacoby hounding the rear of that number 92, of Tony Manji through the center of 3 and 4. They're going to come, and you see him drop back just a little bit. He's trying to set up the move, and look at the momentum off the corner for Jason Jacoby. Going to look down to the bottom, but no, not quite enough to make that move, and I think he's a little overpatient there. I think he just would have had the opportunity to make that move stick. Through 1 and 2, they're going to come though once again, and on down towards this back straightaway. Jason Jacoby, no move getting done just yet here. They're also fighting behind. That's Rick McBride, Brian Boris Cook, and then another 3-car train between Austin Green, Steve Gottschalk, and EJ O'Rourke. One of the things I'm loving, Cisco, is we've had no incidents among your front runners, so everyone's been fighting with the same people all day here. That means we're establishing a little bit of, let's just say, rivalry in this one through this first 63 laps of racing tonight.
And I think Jacoby's a little bit aggravated with the 92. He's overdriving the car a little bit off the corners. He needs to just settle down and hit his marks. He has, I think, a little bit faster car than Manji, but Manji's able to just hit his marks where he needs to go. And these guys, the longer those two battle, the further away Michael Guest is going to get. And Jacoby all over the back bumper. He can't intimidate him. He's just got to make the move and get past that 92 if he has any shot left in this race to go catch Michael Guest.
Huge shout-outs, as always, to Aris High-Speed Modems, as well as Sim 500 and Harpoon Designs for putting on this championship, because the racing tonight has been phenomenal and maybe some of the best of the entire weekend, as Tony Manji is still having to fight with Jason Jacoby through 1 and 2 and off down through the back straightaway. Jacoby still not getting the advantage. We saw him get that big run a few laps ago, but he's not quite been able to do it. He's better through the center, through the entry of 3 and 4, and seems like coming off, he's got a big head of steam as well. Will he be able to look down to the bottom? No, but Boris Cook is going to take a look on Rick McBride down to the inside on 1 and 2. 63 car latched down to the bottom of the racetrack. The tires are still sort of fresh, so he might be able to make this one stick. No, 78 machine up top of McBride. He's going to hold on for now, but he's still got that charging Boris Cook to deal with.
He couldn't get through the corner. The car is getting a little bit bogged down, and while that inside may be the passing lane, the more rubber that gets put down on the bottom side, the less you're going to be able to use it. So Brian Boris Cook has to make this move now if he has any shot to get up to your top 3, and that car is just not working with him. Uh-oh, freight train time. Austin Green to the outside now. Oh no, contact!
Gets turned. Rick McBride, he's facing the wrong way, going up to the top side of the racetrack, and he somehow keeps it off that outside retaining wall, and we have no major contact after all of that. So Rick McBride, we gets a little bit of a tap from Brian Boris Cook, gets sent around, but because he stays out of the wall, he's going to be able to come down pit lane and get tires, and he'll be back out there and running. No harm, no foul, other than the last lost track position, of course.
Something had to give there, Randy, and it was contact, and McBride, a fantastic job holding the brake, kept it off the wall, and did a fantastic job up at the top of the track. Yeah, he didn't come down the track either. Those are some amazing brakes on those Toyota Camrys.
Yeah, those braking systems are absolutely phenomenal. It's well done. That was one of those. Well done, everyone, as well, for avoiding. That was the basic picture perfect that you'd want to expect. As me and Cisco spent about 5 minutes explaining it at the top of the race, the fact that everyone comes down the racetrack when they spin, and well, he just goes up to the top of the racetrack and shows we don't know what we're talking about. But tire field once again, Cisco coming down on towards pit lane. Going to be about a 30-lap sprint from here to the end, and that's well within the fuel range, of course. So this might be for these guys the last set of tires they're going to get on the night.
Yeah, and this could be very much the last pit stop we see on the night, depending on if the yellow flag flies once again, but everybody looking good into their box. No, a little bit of an issue. I think that was EJ O'Rourke, was a little bit shallow in the box, so he's going to lose a couple spots here. Tires going up, right side's down already, left side tire is going to go up, and Tony Manji already away, as is Michael Guest. Jacoby going to fall back to third, or continue to be stuck in third. Meanwhile, Brian Boris able to make the pass on pit road.
I think he got that spot on Austin Green, and he's going to be ecstatic about that. What a job there from Boris Cook to get himself in that 4th spot. He's one of the biggest movers we have on the racetrack tonight. And let's take a quick look through at the big movers we have. Tony Mangi's up 4 as he runs 2nd from 6th. Boris Cook's up 5 from 9th to 4th. We're up 7 on Chad Cole, 16th to 9th, and another one up 7 from Patrick Colby up to 14th. So there's not a lot of big, huge movers, Cisco, really about plus, a half dozen spots or so. But that's what's going to happen when you have such a clean night of racing like we're having here, where really, you end up in a situation where someone gets turned around and the entire field just scatters like it's the Red Sea and keeps it completely off of them. You're not going to lose a lot of spots.
And we talked about it at the top of the show. We saw those drivers, Randy, some of the drivers who I was surprised are starting in the back, and we said I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to make it through the field because it's so hard to pass here at Dover, and that's exactly been the case. Drivers like some of the guys who started in the back, you kind of look at down the list. Brian Wortman was in the back. He hasn't really been able to get anything going all night. Patrick Colby, I will say, started 21st, running 13th, so a monumental job done by the driver of the 52. But you look through your top 10, most of these guys, only one driver, Chad Cole, oh, no surprise there, it's Chad Cole, has made his way through the field, halved his starting position from 6th to 8th. But apart from that, everybody who did not take the starting grid kind of stuck back outside your top 10 apart from Cole. So Chad Cole, I will say, not surprised one bit that the 82 has made his way through this field. Watch out for that driver, legendary in terms of iRacing League racing, of what he's been able to do, especially in these Xfinity style cars. And actually, no, he's going to come to pit road and completely throw my point out the window. So, oh well.
Well, that's unfortunate for you there, but oh well. But I think we're going to be seeing these cars get formed up on the front straightaway. Cisco, 70% distance going to be scored complete here in this one tonight. And you made some predictions at the top. Now we got 30 laps to go right here, right now. Who's your prediction to get to the end first?
Well, you said Michael Guest was the one to watch, and he definitely has been all night long. I like that 74. I still like that 92, though. Tony Mangi has been hanging around the front all day long. If anybody's going to stop Michael Guest, I'm not sure if Jacoby has a car left that he'll be able to do anything with him. We'll just have to find out, though. And the one good thing about Jacoby, Randy, he's starting right behind Michael Guest.
I think 92 machine of Tony Mangi, if he can get the reaction time, it's what you're going to be wanting here. As Boris Cook, he has dropped back towards the tail end of the field, so that Coinbase machine has dropped. His track position is doing worse than my Coinbase wallet here, as this iRacing safety car is going to be coming back down towards pit road here in just a moment, and Michael Guest is going to try his best to hold off 3 of the most aggressive drivers tonight of Mangi, Jacoby, and Austin Green. Those guys have been keeping him busy all night. Safety car to the safety of pit road. 74 machine, he got a big jump at the start. He gets another one here. Tony Mangi caught sleeping, and he's going to be able to run all the way up to that outside retaining wall should he so choose, and in towards corner number 74, Michael Guest. No one for company to the center.
And Jason Jacoby, it all backfired from the 90 as well. He had a front row seat to when the leader was going to start it and got caught sleeping there, and that means Austin Green has made his way back into that 3rd position. The NOS Energy drink machine looking for the opportunity. His Toyota, he's going to try and bring it to the front. Single file for your top 5 right now. First side-by-side battle, Jose Gonzalez and EJ O'Rourke battling it into one.
They're going to wheel it side by side. Couple other fights down there around that mid-pack of EJ trying to work the top side. He lost the spot to Jose, but he's now trying to fend off Solenberger, and doing a good job of that. They're wheel-to-wheel behind. That's Rhett McBride and Patrick Colby. Rhett on a bit of a recovery drive here, Cisco, after getting sent around, and this is one of those big problems when you get sent around, don't have damage to that race car. Your pace isn't going to be hurt whatsoever, but you're dealing with a bunch of drivers you've been slower than all night. Going to have to be so patient to get through this little pack of cars to get back up to the drivers you were racing just a handful of laps ago before you brought up out that yellow.
And now Tony Mangi assumes the role that Michael Guestin was in not that long ago, the role of the chaser at this point. Mangi has to drive, and whether it's intimidation or just running a little bit better of a line, look for that opportunity, whether it's a mistake out of Guest or a little bit better of a line by Mangi. He has 1 shot left. He's running out of time though, Randy. 24 laps to go.
He may not get one until a little bit of a wiggle through 3 for that number 92 machine, and that opened the gap up by about half a car width for the 74 Tony Mangi, so he needs to be a little bit more patient, I think, does Monty here. There's another side-by-side fight in the background. Who is that down along the bottom is Rhett McBride. He's moving himself up a spot. EJ O'Rourke gets into the 52. That's Patrick Colby. He slams the inside wall. He keeps that car pointed forward. So we're going to stay green, but that's a bit of aggressive move there from EJ, making that wheel-to-wheel contact. And Patrick Colby, that car is going to be worse for wear, and that's pretty much going to be the end of his night. He'll be able to stay out there on the racetrack, but that car is going to have a ton of damage and be severely hurt with that one.
Car didn't go around, and he was on the inside of the track, so no caution for Colby. Meanwhile, side by side for third, Jacoby looking to the inside, trying to get his spot back from where he was on the restart, down to the inside of Austin Green. Side by side, the Camrys off of turn number 4. Not going to happen this time, though. Jacoby got a little bit bogged down. He's going to have to do it again in 1 and 2. No, Green going to clear him, at least for the moment.
Off down towards this back straightaway. Austin Green and just Jason Jacoby so close there between those two. Off the corner, Jacoby had to sort of lift out of it, which is good, smart driving from him. Tony Mangi, though, has not yet let Michael Guest get away. So I don't know if Michael's maybe underdriving that car a little bit, trying to keep the tire as well, or if Mangi is just driving his heart out right now, trying his darndest to keep latched to the back of Michael Guest, but still behind. You have Austin Green trying to fend off Jason Jacoby down this back straightaway once again. Jacoby's going to look low, but nothing doing just yet. He lost all the momentum he had down along the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to sweep up high through the center and try to diamond off the corner here. He gets a big run, does Jacoby, but once again, that 43 machine Cisco of Austin Green showing that late model experience, doing a good job of just, I won't say blocking, but placing his car in the worst places possible for Jason Jacoby to make a run.
And I have to think here, Randy, Jacoby's looked at it a couple times, could possibly have to use the bumper here to get past Austin Green. He's gotten very close, barely able to slip a piece of paper between the two, but now Jacoby actually just lost a ton of time off the corner. Wasn't a great exit, but now Jacoby got to close up that gap once again, and I think if you're the driver of the 90, you can't wait a whole lot longer. Less than 20 laps to go here, Randy.
Going to be 19 to go at the stripe as Jose Gonzalez, Travis Solenberger. They're going to be wheel to wheel through the center of the corner. The 66 of Solenberger down low. Think he's going to be able to make that stick, but no, the 26 machine gets that centrifugal force up top, and he's going to have a big head of steam in towards 1 and 2, so he might just be able to hold on to this through the center once again for Travis Solenberger. Still trying to make it stick down there along the bottom of the racetrack, but still nothing doing, and he's not clear just yet. These two have been wheel to wheel for a couple laps, and now Solenberger drives it in hard. He needs to slide up the racetrack, take the line away, and that's exactly what he does. Jose Gonzalez, though, going to try to work the cutback down along the bottom, but not quite happening. So Travis Solenberger, he's back up into 6th.
That was about a slide job if ever I'd seen one here at Dover. Meanwhile, single file back up that battle for third is basically all but evaporated. Jacoby's been trying to close, just hasn't had the speed for it yet, but keep an eye on that 90. In the lead battle, it was growing for a little bit, but Mangi gained a little bit of time, but got a little bit loose just there off the corner of 4, and time running out for the driver of the 92 at this point, Randy.
I definitely think that the 92 is pushing a lot harder than the 74, because we're just seeing Michael Guest. He just looks absolutely picture perfect out there, whereas Tony Mangi, he's being a lot more, let's just say, I don't want to say reckless, but he's taking a lot more risks out there with how he's driving that car. He's getting loose, running a little bit closer to the wall, getting a little bit closer down to the apron. So I think that 92 of Mangi is really at his limit, trying to keep pace with the 74, nonetheless even making a move as Jason Jacoby is re-latched onto the back end of that 43 of Austin Green as they work through the center of 1 and 2 once again. So Jacoby, we saw him, I think he's quicker than the 43, but the 43 of Austin Green, despite how young he is an expert at placing the car, but as I say that, he clips the inside just a little bit. That's going to upset him, and I think that Jacoby might have an opportunity. No, once again, Austin Green, brilliant car placement, just hampering the momentum of that 90 and Jacoby behind.
He may have been the Pro Division runner-up, but he's definitely a young lion out there in terms of just aggressiveness and the knowledge. Jacoby, I think, is a little bit older than Green, but Green been behind the wheel of a race car for a very long time. It's in his blood, and he's doing an excellent job defending. Jacoby down to the inside, though. Will the veteran try and make the move, or is Green going to be able to hold on here? It's almost kind of inverse, Randy.
It might be a physical move here as once again Austin Green clips the apron on the exit of 2. This is going to be Jacoby's, I think, one and only chance. But Austin Green's made that mistake a couple times, clipping the apron with contact behind, as well as Sullenberger is going to take a look on Steve Gottschalk. So they're 2x2 here inside of your top 5 off the corner. Austin Green somehow, despite that mistake, holds off Jacoby as Travis Sullenberger, he's going to try to make the move into 1 and 2 on that number 91 of Gottschalk through the center of 1 and 2, and Travis Sullenberger is hooked up down along the bottom as behind them they're side by side as well for Jose Gonzalez as Rick McBride as Boris Cook to the top now. He wants to try to make something on that 78 machine happen as they were just 2x2x2 here at Dover.
Jacoby was a little bit patient that last time by Randy, and I think that was his downfall. We saw Sullenberger basically mimic the move that Jacoby did off of turn number 4, did not get out of the throttle, and basically bullied his way past Steve Gottschalk. So I think that 66, don't look now, but he could try and sneak his way onto that podium, but Austin Green trying to hold them all at bay and running out of time.
It's one long train of cars here from Austin Green all the way back to Jason K. Miller. That is 3rd place on the racetrack to 11th as Mr. Jacoby is going to take another look here on Austin Green. Can he work the bottom of the racetrack? No. Austin does a good job pinching him up against the apron. It's going to be 10 laps to go at the straight. Austin Green pulling out all the stops, all the tricks he's learned in his career thus far to try to defend the spot. Boris Cook makes a move on Rick McBride. That's not going to work in the background, but all these cars, Cisco, it's always such an awkward situation where it's like it's so organic with the way that everyone's sort of racing everyone. When they get like this, anything that happens at the front of the pack affects what happens deeper in the pack, and these guys just trying their best to pick up spots when they can.
Trying their best, and Jacoby maybe a little bit of a shunt, not quite. He's trying to, though. I think he's about done with getting held up by the 43, and Jacoby's got to make that move soon. Meanwhile, that lead battle is all gone. It's all Michael Guest at the front at this point. He's running out nearly a second lead over Manji. Is a little bit closer as Sullenberger flies up the track.
A little bit of a mistake there from the 66 is going to drop him back about a car length as Austin Green is still holding off that charging Jason Jacoby. 93 of 100 when we come to the stripe right here, right now. And I think Jason Jacoby has a little bit of a run towards 1 and 2. Will he make the move down low? No. Austin Green does a good job. He sort of places his car about half a car width off that outside wall in such a way that it'd be a super tight line to the bottom and no way to make it happen up top. And he makes a mistake again to the center of the corner. 90 of Jason Jacoby looks to the bottom of the racetrack, and once again, will the 43 be able to hold that outside defensive line due to the momentum up top? No, yes, he will. I thought Jacoby had it, but I think he had to lift out of the throttle late. Austin's going to hold on to that 3rd spot for now, and now for Jason Jacoby, he's got a threat from behind to Travis Sullenberger, who's latched himself up to that top side of the racetrack. I think Jacoby's going to go down to the 66. He plows the wall off of 2.
A little bit too aggressive there from Sullenberger as they head back to 3 and 4 this time, and Jacoby's got to be worried because the 66, he's driving like he doesn't want the car to be left in one piece. As Green's going to catch the wall, he'll hold on to it side by side. That was the mistake Jacoby needed.
Travis Sullenberger caught the wall as well, and Jacoby, he's going to take that 3rd spot away. Now the 43 machine gets to the 66. Big contact for Travis Sullenberger. Boris Cook's involved. 78 of Rick McBride's involved. This is going to be a big incident. I think this caution might just end it here. Something was eventually going to give, I think, as there were a lot of clean racing and through that, but one little mistake, Cisco, means a couple of cars end up with a big impact here just inside 5 laps to go.
And Sullenberger got up and started mixing things up, and that's when it all went off the rails, and it was off of turn number 2, the 66, a glancing blow on the rear quarter of Austin Green. He gets in the wall, isn't able to hold on to it, and the 78 out of nowhere just tags the rear, the kind of left side of the 66, goes straight in the inside wall, and caution comes out here, and that might be the end of it. I don't know. We'll just have to see how much time is going to be left here, Randy.
So, for those who are unaware, usually about 5 laps on the iRacing service is the window for the race ending under caution. The fact we have no one coming down, well, we have no one coming down pit road. You're not going to come down pit road for a 1-lap shootout ever. So we're basically right in that point where the race may or may not have ended. It's sort of that weird point where we could go green on lap number 99 or 100, or we might just be finishing this one under checkers. We're working lap number 97 after crossing the stripe, and I think, Cisco, I think we should get a restart Whether it'll be 1 or 2 to go, I'm not sure, but I think we will go back to green. I'm not 100% on that, but I think I'm fairly confident that we will.
Don't put the popcorn away just yet then. And for Michael Guest, this is not at all what he wanted to see, Randy, because he was out to
not eat popcorn.
Yeah, well, yeah, but Michael Guest, he'd have been out to about a second lead over Tony Manji, and now for it to be a nail-biter, he didn't want this at all. He just wanted to cruise to a victory. So for Michael Guest, it may not be over just yet. This lead may not, it may not be solved up yet for Michael Guest.
So what's it going to be? They're going to come across the stripe. We definitely won't be getting an idea now, but, well, actually, we very well might, because if we see the lights go out this time by, it'll be a 2-lap shootout if we were to go back to green. It'll, if not, it will be a 1-lap shootout, or we will be finishing this one under yellow. So let's see here as they come off corner number 2. I don't see anyone trying to form it up just yet, even though they don't officially get the signal till after crossing start-finish. Typically, drivers will sort of naturally form themselves up before the line if they're going to get the signal, and they come across the stripe. Lights stay on, so we're not going green this time, Cisco, which means we're going to have, at most, a 1-lap shootout. And like you said, if you're Michael Guest, that's going to raise the heart rate.
Yeah, it is. And Michael Guest, if this is going to be 1 lap, it all could come down to that hole shot at the start here, Randy. You got to be, if you're Tony Manji, this is going to be a monumental task to try and get past Michael Guest, because you're going to have no time left to do this, maybe 1 lap. I don't even know if that's possible. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that before, Randy. Tony Manji has got to have the restart of his career to pull this off.
It's gonna have to. He's gonna have to get a restart like we saw from the 43 of Austin Green about 60 laps ago, when he managed to keep himself stuck to the outside there and really harass that race leader in towards 1 and 2. You cannot let that number 74 machine get a clean line into 1 and 2. It doesn't matter if it's the top or bottom. You have to be alongside that 74 into the center of 1 and 2 to have any hope of making this one happen. But let's just be 100% sure and get confirmation. Coming off corner 4 right here, right now, the field looks like they're starting to stack themselves up. Manji's taking that outside line as that iRacing safety car comes across start finish. The lights on the roof will go out, so 1 mile will be deciding this one.
Oh boy. And if you're Tony Manji, your blood pressure is already at the highest level it's been all race long. You cannot make a mistake. You can't miss the shift, and you have to be watching that 74 like a hawk. You get 1 shot at this, Randy.
1 single shot, 1 single opportunity, 1 mile around the Monster Mile to have this one sorted. It's been a phenomenal race. I'm just going to say it right now. I think this has been the best race we have seen of this Joe Gibbs off-season action series by far. All the other races have been fantastic, but this one has just simply been on another level. Speaking of on another level, 74, Michael Guest, 2 weeks running at the Fast High Bank Concrete racetracks, and he's dominated, but this one's not over yet. iRacing safety car getting ready to come down to the safety of pit road, and that racetrack is not going to be a very safe or peaceful place here in just a moment's time, as the field is in command of Michael Guest, and he gets on it early. 92, getting a lot of wheel spin. Everyone getting wheel spin as Michael Guest gets a huge hole shot here in towards 1 and 2. He should be well clear here as long as he doesn't make a big mistake. Put that car on the wall. 3 wide behind in towards 1 and 2 as well. In your mid package through the center of the corner come your race leaders. Manji nowhere close to the back of the 74. He's fighting off Jason Jacoby though, as down in towards 1 and 2 they will come. These drivers racing to the line. No restart line on the back straightaway. Here's Michael Guest is going to come away here off corner number 4 with the win. Manji will hold on a second, and there's so many cars stacked up in your mid pack. I don't know who's where. We're going to have to rely on the timing being for that one, but Cisco, that's pretty much what you expect in the last lap run at Dover. Maybe someone getting a big hole shot based on wheel spin, and then the mid pack just utter pandemonium.
Yeah, and for Michael Guest, it was perfect. That was the best restart he could have gotten. Tony Manji had wheel spin. The 90 of Jason Jacoby had the timing right, but just couldn't get on the power. So for the 90, it wasn't a case he wasn't able to do anything in turn number 1. Had to try and just grab 3rd place, and that's what he was able to do. Well, Michael Guest, another clinic, back-to-back wins for the 74 and his purple and orange Toyota Camry, and a fantastic job done by him.
That number 74 machine is going to be burning them down here on that front straightaway, and Michael Guest is going to be a happy camper as he's going to be the first person in this championship since Tyler Hudson to be a repeat winner in this one. But with that, that's all 100 laps scored complete, and Mr. Michael Guest is done burning them down. So let's go down your post-race results here from round number 6, the championship 8 here at Dover. 74 of Michael Guest. He takes the win, and what an impressive run it has been from him the past 14 days in this series. Tony Manji, he's going to finish 2nd. Jason Jacoby 3rd. Austin Green 4th. What a run it was from that youngster. I'm really looking forward to Austin, both on the sim and in the real world. He showed a lot of talent tonight. Steve Gottschalk, he will round out your top 5. Jose Gonzalez will finish 6th. EJ O'Rourke 7th. Brian Boris Cook 8th. Jason Miller 9th, and Don Roberts, he will round out your top 10. Casey Duncan 11th, Rick McBride 12th, Patrick Colby 13th, Chad Cole 14th, Doug Sigmund 15th, Alan Alphonse 16th, Travis Solenberger 17th, Jonathan Lockhart 18th, Don Runkle Jr. 19th, Brian Workman 20th, and Michael Priester and Joey Katina. Neither of them took the starting grid tonight. They didn't run any laps. They will be logged 21st and 22nd respectively. To be waiting a moment here for me and Cisco as we're going to wait to get our drivers here for our post-race interviews, and I think we already have that 74. Let's see if we can get your race winner of Michael Guest up into the booth with us right here, right now, as we do indeed have that number 74 machine. Michael, last 2 weeks have been phenomenal for you in this championship. You seem comfortable around these big high-banked concrete ovals, dominated Bristol, and you dominated tonight. How was that 74 car?
Oh yeah, that was a great race. Bristol and Dover are two of pretty much my best tracks, and I just love racing here. And coming into the race, I knew it was going to be hard to pass. The setup was pretty tight, so getting the pole, I thought it was going to be pretty good throughout the entire race. I was going to be able to keep a top 2 or 3 spot the entire time until I got that mess up under pit road. And after that, it was just trying to get by the guys. I mean, it's so hard to pass here. And luckily getting to the outside of them really helped.
Now looking forward, we of course have you definitely finishing like this tonight. You will be in that championship 4 as we run off towards Homestead. What's your feelings like there? You were good this week, you were good last week, and you've been consistent throughout this series because you are one of the most diverse, one of the more diverse drivers on the iRacing servers. We've seen you in a lot of stuff on RaceSpotTV the last couple months. But how are you feeling going off towards Homestead? What's your feelings on clinching a championship in this one?
Yeah, I've got a pretty good feeling for Homestead. I've running in the Pro Series there a couple months back. I seem to really like Homestead. You can pass there. There's all the grooves that you can run there, especially the dynamic track now, so it should be a really fun race.
Well, thank you for joining us, Michael, and thank you for putting on such a show tonight. You guys all on that grid. Thank all 20 drivers that took the green in this one. But before we let you go, any shout-outs and anyone you would like to thank after a big second win in a row?
Yes, the Sim 500 guys and Boris for putting this on. It's been so fun over the last couple months running the series, and of course you guys for broadcasting, all my friends and family for watching.
That was your race winner, the number 74 of Michael Guest. We hope to see him run strong in the couple weeks in this championship. But moving on down the line, Cisco Scaramuza, as I got his name wrong like I told him I wouldn't at the top of the show. Whoops. We're stood by with Tony Manji, your second place finisher tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Randy Chenworth, and we'll get back to that later.
Cam.
But Tony Manji finishes second, and Tony, you were lurking at the front all day long, but the restart wasn't what you wanted. Talk us through that last restart. That was insane, though.
Yeah, we had a great race in the driven4communications.com Toyota Camry and best overhead door. The race was great all the way up to that end restart, like you said. Kind of spun the tires a little more than I expected to, and really kind of had to hold on for dear life at the end. But overall, a great race, and really proud of this one.
And I knew, and coming into tonight, I was talking you up a little bit because I've seen you a lot on the short track stuff, and Dover 1 mile track, kind of a little bit home plate territory for you here. And how did your experience in the short track stuff help you out here on the racetrack today?
Well, it's helped me out a lot. Like, as you said, running short tracks weekly in real life, and then in addition to running the B races all week to try to prepare for this. So I've had a lot of laps around Dover this week in preparation, and it kind of turned out really well for us. I'm really proud of the effort.
Well, Tony, I'll give you this chance. You already shout out your main sponsors, but anyone else you want to say hello to, and anybody who makes it happen for that 92 car?
Yep, like I said, the driven4communications.com, best overhead doors and vinyl siding, and I had Greg McKinney up in the spotter stand, and I had Brandon Hastings on the pit box. So thanks to those guys. They make it happen for me week in and week out, and we had a good effort, and we'll go on to Homestead.
I saw Hastings comment on the Facebook video. That's what he was up to. But Tony Manji finishes second here from Dover. Tony, congrats, and we'll see you in 1 week's time.
Thank you, guys.
Well, that was Tony Manji, and thank you as well, Tony, for the big effort tonight. You guys were so much fun to watch out there. But Cisco, that does it for us here at Dover. I believe we have our championship 4 of Michael Guest, Tony Manji, Austin Green, and Steve Gottschalk. And that's awesome because we get one of the real drivers in that top 4, as well as one of the sim racer VIPs in Tony Manji. So 2 regular Joes, a real world development driver, and Tony Manji, they make it up there. So that's going to make things really, really awesome.
Yeah, it will, and we're going to hopefully we'll get a chance to see your playoff drivers, but nonetheless, all the drivers can be under pressure here with only 2 races left to go in the season.
Now, before we do that, I'm stood by with Jason Jacoby, who joined the broadcast booth a little bit late, but I can't say I blame him. It was a physical race out there for that number 90 machine. Jason, you guys put on a heck of a show in this one tonight. How was that number 90 machine? You looked hooked up, you looked quick, and you looked like you were having some fun.
Thank you, sir. I sure was. It was a lot of fun. Great race with Austin. Michael got to race with Steve a bit, and Tony at the end on that last lap. It was a great time, man. Michael was hooked up and fast. Props to him. And normally, I got to be honest with you guys, normally I'm pretty good on restarts. They were killing me on restarts tonight, so great job by those guys. And don't really have a sponsor, but I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/jjacoby88 if you guys like to check it out. But yes, sir, it was a fun race.
Hey, that's more than fair game in my opinion. But talking about this Dover racetrack, Jason, I didn't really get to ask anyone else about it. You're not going into the chase at Homestead, so I think you look like the best person, not to mention you were pretty racy out there. But that racetrack, it seemed like passes could be made both on the bottom and on the top. We saw you make moves stick down low. We saw you make moves stick down high. We saw moves get stuck on you down low and moves get stuck down on you up high. How was it driving this Dover racetrack? What is it about it that makes you so able to make either the top or bottom stick? Because it's not a progressively banked racetrack. Is it just the geometry of the circuit? Is it the way you come off the banking? What actually is the situation?
You know, it's really cool how it works because when Michael got under me, I was able to keep the momentum going on the high side. I was lucky. Michael's so fast, I was going to get by me either way. But, you know, running that high side, I was able to pinch him off the corner a bit so he couldn't really get on the gas. And when I was under guys too, I had to lift out of the gas so I wouldn't run up into him. So it was one of those things where the guy on the low side can't get in the gas all the way, so he can't really always complete the pass. And the guy on the high side can stay in the gas off the corner. And if you're good on a restart like Michael was, just blow by me like you did, and Tony as well. But it can get really racy when you're side by side just because you got guys who are on and off the throttle next to each other.
Well, thanks for joining us, Jason. Look to see you run strong in the final coming weeks. But before we let you go, you already plugged your channel, but anyone else, and if you want anyone else you'd like to thank, and if you want to plug it, feel free to plug it again.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Huge thanks to Joey Gattina, Chad Cole, everyone here at Sim 500, Joe Gibbs Racing for aligning to do this thing. This is so cool to be a part of. And once again, it's youtube.com/jjacoby88. That's JJACOBY88. That's my channel. Normally I live stream, but tonight the live stream went down. So thank you guys, anyone who tunes in and checks it out. We appreciate it. And you guys have a great night.
You do the same as well, Jason, as that's going to be the last interview for us, and I think that is going to close out this broadcast from the Joe Gibbs off-season action series here in this one. As always, huge shout-outs to the sponsors of Era's high-speed modems. Drivers rely always on a fast internet connection, and, well, Era's high-speed modems, they are the fastest. Also, as well, huge shout-outs to Sim 500 and Harpoon Designs for the VIP paints. We will be back next week in 7 days' time, and we will decipher our champion at Homestead, and then we will also be running a race at halftime during a particular football game that'll be happening as well. That will be being run from Talladega. But from everyone here at RaceSpotTV, from myself, Randy Chineth, from Cisco Scaramuza, Hugo Louis Calmon, and a huge shout outs as well to everyone involved with Joe Gibbs Racing who has been helped us to put this series on. We thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in 7 days' time. Bye-bye.